Hello, welcome back to another episode of Restoring the Past. Today, I'm going to show you around Marugame Castle, which is a 16th century Japanese castle brimming with defensive fortifications and original architecture. It has the highest stone walls in Japan and is one of the oldest original wooden keeps still standing. I'll talk about all these amazing features and more. So get comfortable because we're about to take a journey back in time and look at this amazing piece of history. Let's go. Marugame Castle, or Marugame-jo in Japanese, is located in Marugame, Japan, on the island of Shikoku in the prefecture of Kagawa, formerly known as Sanuki. The castle is situated on Kameyama Hill in the heart of the city and dominates the landscape. Since the location of Marugame Castle includes hills and flatlands, it belongs to the Hirayama-jiro, or flatland mountain castle style of classification. Toyotomi Hideyoshi awarded all of Sanuki Prefecture to Ikoma Shikamasa in 1587. There has always been some sort of fort or military structure on Kameyama Hill since the 14th century, but the foundations and occupation of the site for what we see today began in 1587. To help solidify his hold over Sanuki, Ikoma Shikamasa began construction of Marugame Castle in 1597 and was completed in 1602. Marugame Castle is one of only a dozen Japanese castles to still have its original wooden keep, or tenshu, built before 1860. In recognition of this rare original structure and other important features such as the walls and entry gates, Marugame Castle is listed as an important cultural property and has been protected as a National Historic Site since 1953. Here is a map showing the castle grounds and where I am starting from. I'm going to walk eastwards and follow the moat until I reach the main entrance, known as the Otemon. As I walk by, you can see the inner moat, known as an uchibori, which surrounds the entire castle. Luckily, the moat was drained for repairs and archaeological excavations when I shot this video, so this gives us a rare opportunity to see what lies beneath the water. There was also an outer moat, which was much larger, but it was filled in. This drawing of Marugame Castle was done in 1644 and shows how the outer moat was fed directly by the Doki River. Though the outer moat is now roadways, the inner moat remains, and is now home to carp and soft-shelled turtles. I want to draw your attention to the walls in the moat. Notice how there are two different types of stone walls here. One is made using the Nozura Zumi technique, which has a section of white dobe battlements, and the other is made employing the uchikomi hagi style of construction. This section no longer retains its dobe walls or corner tower, but still looks impressive nonetheless. With the moat drained, the water line is now visible, which tells us that there is usually 4 feet of water in there. Not the deepest moat, but it would certainly create a formidable obstacle to people in armor trying to gain access to the outer walls. Marugame Castle has several entrances, but the main entrance gate that I'm approaching now is called the Ote Ninomon, or second gate. This is the first component in a 3-piece complex that made up a strong defensible entry system. There's a narrow bridge leading to the second gate, and only once I pass through the second gate are the other 2 defensive components revealed. The bridge is made from stone, but there's a section closer to the gate which can be collapsed when enemy approaches in order to create a gap. This gap links up with the moat and would prevent easy access to the gate. When I walk on the bridge, it's easy to see how exposed I would be in times of conflict. Though it looks peaceful now, the bridge served as a means of funneling the enemy into an exposed position, so they could be fired upon from many different angles. You can see how the stones near the gate are very large and well formed to help reinforce this area. This style of stone wall construction is known as kirikomi hagi and continues into the courtyard, where more robust stone walls were needed. The kirikomi hagi style of walls is the third type of stone construction that we see here at Marugame Castle. Here we get a better appreciation for the size of the moat as well as the walls. The moat is only partially drained on this side, so it provides a better idea of what attackers would be confronting. Let's take a closer look at the gate. Notice the triangular arrow and gun loops in the dobe walls. I'll talk more about them in a second, but look at the timber on the second gate. They are massive, just like the surrounding masonry. The gate is truly imposing, but it is also beautifully constructed. Look at these door hinges. They are colossal pieces of iron. It's amazing to see how they are held in by spikes that protrude from the large slabs of cedar wood and surrounded by thick bronze trimmings. These bronze trimmings not only serve as additional reinforcement, but corrosion resistance and aesthetic beauty as well. The hinges are mortised deeply into the door and post to give them maximum strength and shock absorbency. The huge doors that we see are great for allowing large groups of people or cavalry into the castle. However, the larger door has a much smaller one worked into it. This door was specifically designed to be smaller than necessary, so if it was ever broken down, enemies passing through it could only go in one at a time and would have to hunch over just to pass through. This put whoever was trying to get through the small door at a tremendous disadvantage. Let's take a moment to examine the dobe walls and the various types of arrow loops and gun ports found in them. The Japanese use a different style of loop or slit than those found on European castles. They come in a variety of geometric shapes and positions, depending on the type of weapon intended to be fired from them. First, we have the teppozama. These three geometrically shaped arrow loops are commonly found on a Japanese castle. They gave defending soldiers protection when observing or firing upon attackers. Some have covers, which made them harder to detect from the outside, and offered superior protection when not in use. These types of loops were used primarily by musketeers. Next, we have the yazama. This vertical rectangular shape was more suitable for archers, but musketeers used them as well. And lastly, we have the ishizama. Ishizama were located at the base of the wall and used to hurl rocks and boulders at the enemy, but could also be used by troops equipped with heavier wall guns. As we saw earlier around the inner moat, the dobe walls are white, and they are the type of walls you most commonly see in castles. They are the simplest and most inexpensive defenses available. Dobe generally line the top of moats, stone walls, and encircled most of the baileys, linking gates and towers known as yagura together. Many castles had at least 1 kilometer of walls, and Edo Castle had more than 10 kilometers of them. Despite the fact that there were so many dobe walls used during the Edo period, if you added up all the walls today, you would only find a little over 1 kilometer. The majority of these walls are at Himeji Castle. Dobe walls are built by erecting pillars approximately 1.5 meters apart. In between the pillars is a lattice of bamboo or wood strips. Mud and clay were then layered over this lattice up to about 20 centimeters thick. The clay was often mixed with some strong Japanese grass known as yara for added strength and to prevent cracks. Walls also frequently had support posts behind them to increase their strength, as we see here in Marugame Castle. I'm now standing in a small courtyard, hemmed in by stone walls and another larger gate, known as the Ichi no Mon, or first gate, looming to my right. This style of courtyard is called the Masu-gata, which is an important place for defense and offense. The name Masu-gata is said to be derived from the square shape of a Japanese measuring box, or masu, although there is also evidence that the name derives from the second meaning of masu, which is to measure, because the Masu-gata was a place to contain and count exact numbers of troops. Regardless of the exact meaning behind the name, Masu-gata are square courtyards enclosed by earthen embankments, stone walls, moat, or gates used to protect the castle entrance. A Masu-gata generally includes two gates at right angles to each other, which prevents direct entry to the castle. The two gates are aligned at right angles and operate together in two stages, like the locks of a canal, so that when forces were entering and leaving the castle, the walled courtyard of the Masu-gata could serve as an intermediate gathering place, while ensuring the safety of the otemon. There are two main types of Masu-gata. Those built outside the castle entrance are called Soto Masu-gata, and those constructed inside the main entrance, like this one here in Marugame, called Uchi Masu-gata. While the Masu-gata serves as an important defensive feature, it can also be used to gather troops out of sight of enemy forces and launch sorties out of the castle. A typical size of a Masu-gata is approximately 29.5 feet, or 9 meters, by 47.5 feet, or 14.5 meters. The gates of the Masu-gata were known as Masu-gata-mon, the first gate, Ichi-no-mon, and the second gate, Ni-no-mon. The innermost gate was usually the stronger of the two, serving as the main entrance to the castle. This picture of a Masu-gata is nearly identical to the one at Marugame Castle, and helps give you an idea of the overall shape and size of this area. The next picture shows how the Masu-gata can be used to contain enemy troops and expose them to infilade fire. Also, note the improved stonework involving the kirikomi hagi technique, which surrounds the Masu-gata to provide superior resistance to enemy activity. So here we just see more of the massive timbers that were used to construct these gates. Timbers on this one are just as big as the first, if not bigger. You can see the support structure on the top is really just using the natural curves of the wood. It's really just entire trees that were used and mortised in to create that natural shape that they needed, and to give it the strength that it requires to hold up the weight of the gate. I've entered another open area. It's a large courtyard. It's a big open space, a lot of trees here now. Originally there would have been dwellings and samurai homes, things like that, occupying this area. If you head down to my right, that's following where I came down by the moat. There is an old house there, but for now I'm just going to head up this hill and head towards the main area of the castle. And it's a bit of a climb. It's a pretty steep hill, which would have been even more daunting, again, if you're trying to attack this wearing heavy armor and under stress. I'm going to head towards these beautiful walls so we can get a better look at them. If you like stone, I certainly do, then these walls are a must for you. The Ishigaki stone walls protecting Marugame Castle are approximately 60 meters tall, making them the tallest in Japan. Just this section of the Sun no Maru wall is 22 meters high. The elegant curvature of the wall is one of its finest features. The walls of Marugame Castle are known as Ugi no Kobai, since they resemble the shape of a Japanese folding fan. Coincidentally, the city of Marugame is famous for its production of paper fans known as Uchiwa fans, and produces 90% of Japan's fans. The fan-shaped walls are not only beautiful to look at, but deadly too, because the slope gets steeper as you go up until it reaches 90 degrees at the top, which helps prevent ninja and other enemies from scaling them. The gentle slope also serves another important practical feature, which is offering better resistance to earthquakes. The Japanese have learned over time that a curved wall offers greater resilience during an earthquake than a straight one. The shape of the walls is not the only factor that helps prevent them from crumbling during an earthquake. The construction of the walls themselves is equally as important. Japanese walls are built to provide movement and allow the walls to shift with the earth as much as possible. For this reason, the Japanese came up with a few different stone construction methods. This picture shows a few of the most common patterns found. and Marugame Castle uses a few of them, such as Nozurazumi, Uchikomi Hagi, and Kirikomi Hagi. You can see where I am now on this map. I'm on the eastern side of the castle, fairly high up there now. You can see around me it's got a really nice, lot of nice trees around. That's where I'm going to be going next to get to a higher elevation. But it's a really nice area up here, full of trees, has a nice park-like setting, and that's because basically this area was designated as a park in 1919 called Kameyama Park. This area of the castle offers a breathtaking view of Sanuki Fuji, which is basically a miniature version of Mount Fuji. That's why it has the word Fuji in it for Fujisan. It's a very famous attraction in Kagawa, and the local residents are very proud of that mountain. So looking over here, we get another really nice view of the city. This is looking northwards, so you can see the Seto Inland Sea is in the far distance there where the mountains are. We get another great view of the castle walls and the beautiful shape of them, and where some of the towers would have been. So let's just make our way over here towards where one of the towers would be. And so you've probably noticed by now, looking around, that there appears to be a lot of missing towers and other buildings one might tend to associate with castles. The loss of these structures is not due to natural disasters or tragic fires, although fires throughout the centuries certainly ravaged some parts of the castle, but rather from a political and military decision passed by the shogun shortly after Marugame Castle was built. In 1615, the shogunate issued the Ikoku Ichijoi decree, which only allowed each domain to retain one castle. This decree was passed to make a rebellion against the central government more difficult. And since the official seat of the Ikoma clan was Takamatsu Castle, Marugame Castle had to be demolished. As a result, most of the battlements, towers, and gatehouses were dismantled, with the exception of the single keep we see today. This one castle per prefecture law is a fundamental reason why it's so rare to see original castles in Japan, and why Marugame is so special. So I'm going to continue climbing into a new section of the castle. You can see where there'd be walls and towers all around us here to make another choke point in this area here when you come in. Once you get beyond that area, as you can see, it's nice and open. There's these beautiful stone steps that kind of take you up to this flat area. Again, it could have been another area used to muster troops from. And today there's all these beautiful cherry trees planted here, so it's really quite spectacular in the springtime. I highly recommend, if you're visiting Marugame Castle, to come here during the spring so you can enjoy these amazing cherry blossoms. The smell is just, it's just magnificent. Over here, this is the well of the castle. It's a very, very deep well, and this well has a really interesting story behind it. It's kind of an infamous, dark history to this well. The legend goes that the person that designed and built the walls for Marugame Castle, he was bragging to the Lord about, how he's the only one that had knowledge and the skill to climb these walls. And he demonstrated it in front of the Lord, and he climbed up the castle walls. Well, the Lord, as you can imagine, didn't take too kindly to that, knowing that this person had information that could lead to the breach of his defense systems. So when he saw that display, instead of rewarding the builder, he threw him into that well. And so that's the story of that well that this individual was, that the builder was thrown into the well, so that the secrets of how to scale the walls would die with him. And here we are, we finally arrived at the main keep, or the Tenshu. The keep is arguably the greatest attraction for visitors to see at Marugame Castle. I mean, aside from the view, which is just spectacular, you got a 360 view of the entire city. But this keep is really something special. In 1641, Ieharu Yamazaki was granted a fiefdom in what is now the western part of Kagawa Prefecture for his efforts in putting down the 1638 rebellion. He constructed and renovated what would become the present-day keep on the ruins of Kazumasa Shikoma's castle. So what we see today when we're looking at the main keep of Marugame Castle was completed in 1644 and changed hands only one time in 1658 before the Meiji government seized control of all castles across Japan in 1868. The keep of Marugame Castle is only 49 feet or 15 meters tall, making it the smallest keep in Japan, but also one of the oldest. It's ironic that the smallest keep in Japan sits upon the tallest walls in Japan. This contrast is very apparent from below and has given rise to the rumor that the keep was not designed to be the keep at all, but rather a tower serving to protect an even greater structure. Perhaps a larger structure existed before the 1644 keep that we see today. After all, the person that originally owned this area, Ikoma Shikamasa, ruled a much greater territory with greater resources at his disposal. So perhaps, when Sanuki was cut in half and given to Yamazaki, the available funds to build a new castle would have been much smaller. Regardless of whether or not the size and placement of Marugame's castle keep has stayed consistent throughout the ages, we are fortunate to have this surviving relic. The keep is timeless in appearance and exemplifies the typical characteristics one would expect to find on a Japanese keep, such as varying patterns of dormer gables, capped with hip and gable roofs, and finials. The white plaster walls also help give it a refined and elegant appearance. The keep is a 3-story structure, which first served as the residence of the lord, so it had tatami mats, or grass floors inside. However, as the years passed, the keep became an observation platform, and the tatami mats were removed. Another nice original defensive feature that we see on Marugame Keep is the Ishi Otoshi, which is basically a special little chamber that was built into the side of the castle wall, and it protrudes from the side of the building, and that way somebody can go inside that little cavity and the floor opens up, and then you can drop rocks or stones, any type of boulders, or shoot arrows or musket fire at the enemy below. The interior of Marugame Castle was really quite Spartan, as one would expect from a military structure. As I was saying, at one time it probably would have had a little more comfort when the Lord was using it as his official residence, but what we see now is very much a simplistic military building. Having said that, it's absolutely beautiful inside and 100% original. It's just so rare to see an original wooden keep like this. You can see all the massive timbers that were used in its construction and the mortise and tenon joints. It's just amazing that we can still see all the original components of this castle. It really is a work of art. It's beautiful. The floors are spectacular as well, wide plank timbers, and they just kind of glow with age that only a patina can give you. You just know that this thing's old, and it's the smell, just all of it. It's just a fantastic structure to be in. And it's well worth the journey to get up there and then go inside and have a look. And as you climb up, like I said, it is three stories, so it offers you an even better view of all the city. So it's just it's amazing. There are also a few interesting artifacts inside the keep. Sometimes I think the displays vary, but when I was there, they had a beautiful helmet in there and different things like that you can see. I hope you have all enjoyed this tour of Marugame Castle. It's definitely worth the visit to experience everything that the site has to offer, whether it be for the challenging climb, the rewarding views, the intricate stone walls, the historic gates, or the original wooden keep. There is something for everyone here at Marugame Castle, which is no surprise was listed as one of Japan's top 100 castles by the Japan Castle Foundation in 2006. I really want to thank everyone for watching, and especially those that have subscribed. Again, we recently just hit the 500 subscriber mark, and it just is amazing to know that we've accomplished all that together. The support is much appreciated. Please let me know what you thought of Marugame Castle, and stay tuned because there are plenty of restoration videos and other subject matters still to come. As always, good luck with your projects, and I hope you can get out there and enjoy everything that history has to offer. Take care, and see you next time.